I'm done with that.
It's my 50th year out of high school this year.
No, I'm not there yet. Close.
Nobody's gonna have a.
Went right by today again without waving. Today there wasn't. You went right by today again without waving too. But at least today there wasn't any excitement. So.
Oh, I don't know. It shows you how much I pay attention. And I'm
Yeah,
talking
well,
away.
you might not have seen us because we were out in the yard, in the backyard. And stuff.
Was the trucks coming out of your place? We noticed on the way back.
No, that's next door. There's the big house that Wendy Browder goes
Okay.
perpendicular to the road. And
All I
that
know is
lot-
I was going, oh, darn it, you rocks on those
It's also,
pieces.
I think it goes by Audistra. And he owns a woodlot behind us, it's about 85, 90 acres.
Obviously, they were a lot of mud.
Yeah, well today, that's the worst it's been today, because when I go to Walpole this afternoon, and there wasn't anything out there, and we'd seen the truck go in, and then when I came out, I was like, wow, you could see the ruts and all the dirt going down the road and everything.
Yeah, I figured you must have left some good ruts on the car.
Yeah, and there's a right of way on the edge of their property and our property that goes into the house.
One day, another day, got the yard, telling me where to go.
I sat down this afternoon and I don't have a copy of it. I should have brought my show. He's laid out good where I put vendor's name, the rep's name,
He's been there for probably
body
20 years,
material,
25 years.
price.
He's not just sitting at the
Delivery
front
time,
desk.
telling people what warehouse and things, and then
You
down
get
below
bored?
pros and cons. And I figured what I'm gonna do is attach information from everything's been updated from all of the vendors.
Yeah.
We'll put it on the table for a
Did
minute.
the last vendor update his dollar amount? Was it higher or lower? Yeah.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah,
did you turn that thing on yet? You're good. You turn it
that's
off for
where
a
we're
second.
at, so.
Matt wasn't impressed by that.
No. I think you should.
I
Why's
was
that?
surprised.
I want to talk about a health issue. And not mine.
You might not ought to do it in public.
Well, it's not public till you turn that on and we call this meeting to order, which we have not done.
This is a public forum,
Okay.
unless you
Suit
declare
yourself.
it non-public.
Oh, boy.
We could all stand on the other side of the door.
Stand in front of the camera.
No, just doing,
Actually, I'm tall enough, I could stand.
the windows by the desk. One in the living room, and there's only like a single sash as a kitchen.
There's a little bit of help.
Trying to do a positive thing, and he's just being really good for me. I told him I wasn't gonna get a picture of it.
It's really not fair that something that horrible would happen to this right here.
Especially when you have
Put this right cut, I'm sure.
Here's positive.
And salt, you're buying is sea salt.
You never know.
Stop.
That's why I say.
I just
Better
wanted to
than an
make sure, 'cause
alternative.
I saw a change in the price.
Death?
No. What people are trying to do.
Actually, it's 55.
Anyways, the windows are put in different places. Some of the windows that are in now.
Anyway, good job. As long as you can use it.
No, I mean, like, he showed me how, like, they're all like compressed in each, so you just pulled on the right side, then you pulled on the left, and turned it out. And showed me how it two sashes.
Because if you're gonna fall out over and then use
Once
it.
those come out, all the other stuff falls
The
out.
underground stuff.
And then the other one pops up.
This is my dad's. You know, so I force people.
I look at it because I don't really.
I know that,
I want to
a
say.
couple of decisions I've made, specifically on the rules, it's like, you can,
What?
It's up for this week.
You remember what I put on the agenda?
And I wanted something just a little friendly.
The ladder.
Those you just push in from the inside against the outside trim.
A, B, C.
Yeah, he was saying that because they had storms on them, and I wasn't gonna run the storm.
Then we have a letter.
Frame on the outside,
Oh, they
over
will
the storm,
To respond.
I might be able to put them in from the outside.
And we need
They
to
put right to the inside
decide
trim.
that
Oh, it's the inside trim.
text it.
That'd be nice, because then I wouldn't have to do any kind of modification on the inside.
Yes.
And whatever
Usually
else we might do
going
stuff
from the inside, so you know, just would be,
Which everybody
usually
knows
it's just the
that
outside.
anyway, but we had a
Well,
democratic
you've got the
fashion.
outside
So,
window.
let's call this meeting to order. And note that it is being broadcast on the internet through the kindness of Michael Gordon and friends. And who besides me has read the minutes? We have time. And last week wasn't really a selectmen's meeting because I boogered up the posting, it was really a hearing. So,
No, that's not it. Probably don't have any next.
we probably didn't transact any business anyway, but we certainly exchanged plenty of information.
I will move that we accept them as written.
Go with that. So, about that hearing, you had made, Chris, you had made a bunch of revisions to
I have.
the ordinance as proposed. Do we want to talk about that for whatever time that takes before we move on to our main item?
I'm fine with
Could you summarize
that. Sure.
the improvements that you made? I think it's pretty well marked up, and an astute person could figure out what you did, but
Yes. Oh, good, we did print out the, so this version does have a markup in it.
Right, it just didn't come out red,
Yeah.
because I don't have color.
If you weren't in attendance for the hearing, in a nutshell, what we're looking at doing is coming up with a way to use an ordinance to help fund drug education in our schools. And what we would do is we would create an ordinance against the possession of less than an ounce of marijuana. No differently than we've come up with ordinances against alcohol in public or drug paraphernalia. This would be along those lines. If anyone over the age of 21 were caught with less than an ounce of marijuana, they would be subject to a fine of $150. And if they were under the age of 21, they would be required by the town to attend some sort of drug education program that would be sort of coordinated by the police department, but then managed the membership in those, and the making sure people went through it would be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen's office. There are some things in here that talk about, notification of parents and things like that, or legal guardian for those that are under the age of 21, which gets a little off the wall. We know that this isn't perfect, and there are a lot of things that could potentially trip up as we put this into place. For example, one of the concerns that the police department has is, would this be enforceable by a court if somebody failed to pay? And that's just a question we don't know. So, we can either try to identify every single potential answer to every possible question, or we can put out there and give our police force another tool other than let them go or levy 1 year in jail and $2,000 in fines. Those are sort of the two extremes that they have right now. Go ahead.
Is 21 the proper age or 18?
21 was the recommendation of the chief, and that has to do with, I believe, existing law and the age for alcohol.
Yeah, okay.
The original draft was for 18 years of age.
Okay. Are we planning on running this by the town attorney?
We can do that. We can certainly do that before it gets officially implemented. Before it's put into practice, I think.
yeah, we should.
Yep.
We actually agreed that we would do that
Yep.
when it settled down at this level.
Yep.
And we, at one point, I had also agreed to visit with the county attorney after the smoke had cleared. Make sure I understand.
Was it a pun?
After the smoke had cleared on the revision history, I guess, to make sure that we're not creating an edifice that we can't reliably enforce. That was my concern on it.
Yeah.
So there's at least one judge at Superior Court who's not at all interested in enforcing local ordinances, so
Yes.
I need to understand that issue better, or find out whether that judge belongs to Kiwanis or Knights of Columbus, and then I can get to him that way.
Yeah, I think as we look at Superior Court and Keene, depending on which judge you get, you're gonna get drastically different viewpoints. Other changes that we made, the original language called for completion of the drug program and community service within 1 year. It was recommended that that get dropped down to 6 months. We had originally had this all flowing through the town clerk. We felt that, somebody wisely brought up that if we're the ones proposing this, then we should be the ones that manage it from the town's point of view. I also spoke with Linda today, and this has to do with the funding. The idea was that we would create a special fund that these fines would flow into and then could be used to then pay for drug education in the schools. The problem was, if we were to do that, then that would have to be something voted upon by a town meeting. And as Gordon and I were talking on the way here, it could be done through a special meeting too, perhaps. Could you
It
do a
costs.
special?
You could do a special, but it costs you, because you
Yeah.
have to set, you have to do,
Yeah.
so it probably wouldn't be worth your while.
So the alternative is to do it through the general fund, realizing this would go in the first year and we have no idea how many fines may be collected. You know, that money would show as revenue to the town flowing into the general fund. And if we, realistically, it wouldn't be till fall, wanted to do something at the school, the selectmen could take a look at the budget next year's board and decide whether they wanted to put some money towards something like that, I think.
The only line you probably could take it out of was community policing.
Yeah,
That makes perfect sense. to
yeah,
me.
yeah. So I think we can go down that path in that direction. Trying to think of what else. The other change was doing community service within the town of Alstead or the town that they reside in. We added the town that they reside in. I think that was the bulk of the changes.
Thank you. Yeah. Comments, questions from the peanut gallery? Apparently you've done an excellent job. Did you want to attempt to enact this tonight, or more properly wait a week or two to see?
You could do it, you could really do it either way. I mean, I think it's important that we get the town's attorney to take a look at it. With that said, I don't think there's anything wrong with us enacting this tonight, realizing it won't be implemented until that takes place. Does that work?
It works as long as we don't anticipate major revisions by the attorney.
Yeah, and I
That's
wouldn't, I
Yeah.
wouldn't,
So I guess I would recommend that
Yeah,
we hold off until subsequent to legal review.
Yep.
Because if he rips out a couple of paragraphs, then properly we would have another hearing.
Vote again, and then we vote again.
And then
Then we vote again.
there's still nothing happens.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
kind of
okay.
where I'm at with that. Is everybody cool with that?
That works for me, yep.
So our instructions to staff then is to make the markout real. Push the button that says accept changes. And shoot that off to Bernie. And just for fun, since it doesn't cost anything, why don't we shoot it off to LGC as well? They're gonna be against it, but they might have something interesting to say.
I've already done it by LGC.
And they're against it.
You're against it. No, you cannot have an ordinance that mentions anything about anything the state has already said is illegal.
What about
Like the 50 towns that have paraphernalia laws. It's exactly the same thing.
We're not actually here to second guess LGC, but we do like to use them, and they agree with us.
position is clear, ordinances are bad. All right.
Thank you.
Tomorrow, line item in the budget for candy for when you retire?
Take an act of Congress. So, we have a sort of a complicated bit of business here to do with the selectmen's letter, which I think the three of us believe is almost done. But what makes it complicated is that there's a misprint in the town report, but the ballot is accurate. And so we need to figure out a way to communicate that piece of information in the selectmen's letter. I think you can trust us to do that.
The school board had to send out a letter for that.
School board's got
Yeah.
the same problem, only, and we'll get to that because I actually need to talk about ballot item number 9 on the school board ballot. Well, gentlemen, are the three of us in agreement that the selectmen's letter is fundamentally complete?
I believe so.
It has no particular controversial aspects. I'm sorry I don't have a copy of it to show you, but it's not an advocacy piece more than this is what this warrant article is about, and this is what the tax impact is, and this is what the select board's voting count was, and this is what the AABC voting count was.
Is the draft that the EMSG had going with that?
I would love it to, but it's not up to me alone.
Dan, have we seen that draft yet?
Can we see it tonight? I bet we can make a
I
decision.
did, a while ago, I thought.
It's probably in your phone.
Could be.
I'm not sure I've got a copy of it, to be honest with you.
I think I can go get it.
But while we're not talking about that, while we're searching for that document, where are we with the excellent letter from AABC in our process? And are we ready to include this, which is undated, but looks like it?
Then you got a copy of it.
I do apologize for all the revisions that have been flying around, but I actually think it's the way to do it, is to get everybody a chance to say, wait a minute. Or, yeah, that's pretty cool. Which is,
So, where we left off is the two parts that are highlighted. And the rest of it, nobody had anything to say. Linda had the first highlighted part. And then, Mark had some stuff to say about the bottom, and then Chris rewrote it, and then I rewrote a little bit of Chris's. All of which is highlighted.
so does this represent,
Not sure what's what.
Those are
this is approved by the AABC and it's
the,
current?
not exactly, no.
But it will be,
It will
could be,
One,
one hopes.
there's
So.
4 of us here, but we
so-
can't, there's 4 of us here.
No, so if we got to the point where this was approved in principle by the selectmen, then we could just keep moving.
Radio.
I see no reason why not. Do you have a problem with the way this is written?
I approve the other one,
Okay.
So we're unanimous in, we're not,
so I approve the one that had without the residents.
okay.
It had Alstead Board of Selectmen.
Gotcha. So you want to split on that?
It's up to you guys.
What's that? I'll vote in favor of this.
All right, so we're gonna accept this as presented this evening, and we're gonna include it with the selectmen's letter on that.
Yes.
After we vote on it tomorrow.
After you vote on it, after we fix the we expand the explanation of item number 6, or warrant article number 6, which is just a clerical issue for the town report, not for the ballot thing.
How can you guys agree on something they haven't agreed on?
We're okay with this draft. And
We're okay with what's in front of us.
Right.
So then they're gonna agree on hopefully this?
That's what we hope. Otherwise, the clock will run out.
Okay.
And nothing will go on.
Nothing will go in the envelope, and we'll all feel
Should they
sad.
not, then
So let's turn to the EMSG document if we can discover that. Has anyone tracked that down yet?
Okay. Who did it, did it come from you?
Carol.
Or
Yes, I think it did.
it came from Priscilla?
Yeah.
EMSG mailing, February 17, is that too far back?
Probably not. You know, that's what I got too. Priscilla-
Shall I just read it?
Go ahead, I just found mine.
Alstead Emergency Response Readiness. At the request of the Alstead Selectmen, volunteers formed the Emergency Management Study Group early in 2015 to evaluate the town's emergency readiness and to work with the emergency response teams, including police department, fire department, ambulance squad, and the emergency management director to ensure that the town's public safety needs will continue to be met. Since July, the EMSG has been meeting regularly with members of the fire department to come up with recommendations for refurbishing or replacing the 1984 rescue truck, known as Rescue 1, and the 1987 Ford engine, known as Engine 1. Rescue 1 carries the specialized equipment required for structure fires, motor vehicle accidents, remote search operations, and hazardous material incidents. Engine 1 is a pumper transporting and pumping water. Neither Rescue 1 nor Engine 1 meets the current standards for occupant safety or for recommended equipment. So what do we do? Question mark. Doing nothing is an option, but we have learned that the cost of fire apparatus tends to go up on average 8% a year. Wow, great business. Should we refurbish? Refurbishing a fire truck means bringing it up to current standards for occupant safety and recommended equipment. The NFPA 1911 standard for inspection, maintenance, testing, and retirement of in-service automotive fire apparatus of Annex D recommends that any apparatus over 25 years old should be retired, not refurbished. And although our trucks are over 25 years old, we asked our local vendors and they refused to bid on the job because it would be impossible to meet the standards for occupant safety. Should we buy used? The headers are in bold, which I think is great. After looking at the used engines available from online vendors around the country, we found several reasons why purchasing appropriate equipment would not only be difficult but financially risky. The engines we saw were used in warmer and urban environments and did not have the equipment we used for our terrain. All of them had small water tanks, inadequate for us since we don't have a hydrant system, and some had no pump house heater or inadequate emergency lighting or horsepower. It is impossible to estimate how much money, if any, would be saved by purchasing used engines. And used engine vendors are unwilling to give ballpark estimates for refurbishing, and there is no Carfax or extended warranty for used fire. That's great. So, should we buy new? It is the joint recommendation of the EMSG and the fire department that we purchase a single combination vehicle, a rescue pumper engine, to replace both Engine 1 and Rescue 1. This would save on the purchase price as well as on the cost of insuring and maintaining two vehicles. The EMSG and members of the fire department have spent months developing the specification for this engine and designing it to be readily refurbished many years from now rather than being entirely replaced. And there's a link to the recommendations on the town website. So this seems to me completely accurate and uncontroversial, and I propose that we stuff it in the envelope along with everything else.